You probably don't know. And that's the thing about love, isn't it? The deepest parts of it live in silence, in the spaces between words, in the looks that last a second too long, and the things we carry in our hearts that we never quite find the courage to say out loud. But I'm saying them now, right now, to you. And I need you to really hear me, because I mean every single word of this with everything I have. You are not just someone I care about. You are the reason certain songs feel different to me. You are the reason I still believe that something real and good and true exists in this world. You are the reason that even on my darkest days, there's always this tiny, stubborn little light that refuses to go out. And that light has your name written all over it. It always has. I just didn't know how to tell you that until now. I think about the things you've been through, and I know I don't know all of it. I know there are parts of your story that you've kept tucked away where the light doesn't reach. Parts that were too heavy, too raw, too painful to hand to anyone else. And I want you to know that I see that. Even the parts you haven't shown me. Even the wounds that healed wrong and left marks. Even the versions of yourself you're ashamed of. I see you. Not just the beautiful parts, which there are so many of, by the way, more than you realize, but the real parts. The tired parts. The parts that gave too much and got too little in return. The parts that loved completely and got left anyway. I see those parts most of all, and I love you there, in that exact place, without asking you to be anything different. And I think that's something nobody tells you enough. Nobody sits you down and says you are worthy of a love that doesn't ask you to shrink. A love that doesn't make you feel like you're too much, and also somehow never enough. A love that doesn't arrive with conditions and leave with excuses. You deserve something that stays, something that holds, something that looks at all of you, every complicated, beautiful, broken, brilliant part, and says yes, this, her, always. And if nobody has ever made you feel that way, then let me be the one to say it. Let me be the voice that tells you what you should have been hearing all along. Because here's what I know about you, even from where I'm standing. I know that you have loved people with your whole heart, and sometimes they didn't know what to do with that much love. I know that you've had nights where the silence was so loud, it was almost unbearable. I know that you've smiled through things that would have broken someone else completely. I know that you carry a kind of warmth in you that the world doesn't always deserve but always needs. And I know that somewhere underneath all the strength you show every single day, there's a softer part of you that's still waiting to feel safe enough to just rest, to just breathe, to just be loved without having to work for it, without having to earn it, without having to be anything other than exactly who you are. And I want to be that for you. I want to be the place you rest. I want to be the voice that meets you in that quiet, vulnerable place and says, you're safe here. You don't have to be strong right now. I've got you. I want to be the reason you smile when you're not expecting to. The thought that finds you in the middle of an ordinary afternoon and wraps around you like something warm. I want to be the feeling that makes you believe, really believe, that good things are still possible, that love is still possible, that you, exactly as you are right now, are enough to be loved wildly and completely and without reservation. And I need to tell you something else. Something I've been holding on to for a long time. Loving you, even from this distance, even in this way, has made me better. It has. You have made me better. Because when I think about what I want to offer to the world, when I think about the kind of person I want to be, I think about you. I think about what you deserve. And it pushes me. It challenges me. It makes me want to reach for something higher than I thought I was capable of. Because somewhere in the back of my mind, I know that you're watching. And I want to be someone worth watching. I want to be someone who makes you proud. I want to be someone who reflects back to you some of the beauty and goodness that you've given me, without even knowing it. There are songs I can't listen to anymore without thinking of you, and I'm not even sure you know which ones. But I'll be sitting there and a melody will start, and suddenly everything in me goes quiet and still, And it's just this feeling, this overwhelming, aching, gorgeous feeling of missing you, even when you're right here with me, even when I can feel your presence everywhere, even when everything I do has somehow become about you without me even making that decision. And maybe that's what real love is. Maybe it's not a choice you make one time. Maybe it's something that happens over and over again in 1,000 small moments every single day. Maybe it's the way I keep choosing you even when I don't know I'm doing it, even when I'm not looking, even when I'm just living my life and you're somehow woven into every single thread of it. I want you to remember something on the days when you feel invisible, on the days when the world is loud and cold and indifferent and you feel like nobody sees you, nobody really sees you. I want you to remember this moment, this feeling. Remember that somewhere there is someone who thinks about you with such tenderness it almost hurts. Someone who holds the thought of you carefully, the way you hold something precious and fragile. Someone for whom you are not background noise, not a passing thought, not someone easily forgotten. You are the whole song. You are the thing the song is about. You are what I come back to, again and again, without fail, without question, without the ability to do anything else. And I don't know what the future looks like. I never do. But I know that whatever it holds, whatever comes next, whatever changes or shifts or falls apart or grows, you will be a part of it. Not as a memory, not as something I used to feel, as something living and breathing and real and present. Because what I feel for you doesn't sit still. It doesn't stay in one place. It grows. It deepens. It finds new ways to fill up the spaces inside me that I didn't even know were empty until you came along and showed me what it felt like to have them full. And I'm addicted to that feeling. I need you to understand that. I am completely, helplessly, beautifully addicted to the way you make me feel. Addicted to the warmth that moves through me when I think of you. Addicted to the way everything makes more sense when I imagine your face. Addicted to the love, this love, our love, that showed up without asking and decided to stay. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. Not for ease, not for simplicity, not for a quieter heart or a less complicated chest. I would choose this, messy and enormous and overwhelming as it is, every single time. I would choose you every single time. So if you're listening to this right now, if you're the one I'm speaking to, and you are, I'm speaking directly to you, nobody else, just you, then I need you to hold this feeling for a moment. Just hold it. Let it sit in your chest and breathe there. Let yourself believe that this is real, that this is meant for you, that you are exactly the person I'm thinking of when I say all of this. Because you are, you have always been, and every word I have ever felt but been too afraid to say has been leading here, to this moment, to this honesty, to you. And there's still so much more I want to say, so much more I haven't found the words for yet. Things that live too deep to come out easily. Things that need more time, more courage, more of you listening just like this, close and quiet and real. And I think that's the part nobody warns you about. When something is real, truly, deeply, bone-achingly real, it doesn't arrive all at once. It comes in layers. Like how you don't see the whole ocean the moment you step onto the shore. You see the surface first. The way it shimmers, the way it moves. And only when you walk closer, only when you let the water touch your feet, and you stop being afraid of how vast it is, only then do you start to understand what you're actually standing in front of. That's what loving you has been like for me. Every single day, I think I've reached the deepest part of it. Every single day I discover there's more. There is always, impossibly beautifully more. And I want to talk about something that I don't think gets said enough. I want to talk about the quiet moments, not the grand ones, not the ones that make for good stories or beautiful memories you frame on a wall. I want to talk about the 2 a.m. moments, the ones where you're lying there in the dark and the whole world is asleep, and it's just you and your thoughts and the weight of everything you haven't said out loud. I know those moments. I live in those moments sometimes. And in every single one of them, without exception, you are there. Not because I put you there, but because you simply are there. Because you've become so woven into the fabric of how I think and feel and breathe, that even my silence has your name somewhere inside it. And I wonder if you have those moments too. I wonder if there are nights where you're quiet and still and something moves through you, some feeling you can't quite name, something that feels like longing but softer, something that feels like missing but sweeter, and you don't know what to do with it. I wonder if in those moments, something in you reaches out without even realizing it. Because I want you to know that if it does, if some part of you reaches out into the dark on those nights, I am already there. I was already on my way. I have been on my way to you for longer than I even know how to explain. Because the truth is, I didn't stumble into this feeling accidentally. Or maybe I did, but it doesn't feel accidental anymore. It feels like the most intentional thing that has ever happened to me. It feels like something that was being built long before I was aware of it. Like there were 1,000 small moments, 1,000 small choices, 1,000 small turns that were all quietly leading me in one direction, toward you, toward this. And when I look back at all of it, all the confusion, all the searching, all the times I thought I understood what love was supposed to feel like, I realized that I was just practicing. I was just learning the language. Because the real thing, the actual, terrifying, magnificent real thing, it sounds like you. It has always sounded like you. I want to tell you about a feeling I carry with me every day. It's not a loud feeling. It doesn't announce itself. But it's constant. The way certain things are constant. The way the sky is always there, even when it's covered in clouds. The way your heartbeat is always there, even when you stop noticing it. It's this feeling of gratitude. This overwhelming, almost painful gratitude for the fact that you exist. That you are somewhere in this world, breathing and thinking and feeling and being. That you chose to share any part of yourself, any part of your time and your heart and your attention with me. Do you understand how rare that is? Do you understand how much that matters? In a world that is moving so fast, in a world where everything is noise and urgency and distraction, you stopped, you stayed, you listened. And I will never, for as long as I live, take that for granted. I think about what it means to truly know someone, not know their favorite color or the music they listen to when they're sad, though I want to know those things too. I want to know every small, ordinary, beautiful thing about you. But truly know someone, know the way their mind works, know the places where they're still healing. Know the dreams they've never spoken out loud because they're afraid that saying them will somehow make them more breakable. I think about that kind of knowing, and I think that's what I'm reaching for with you. Not a surface thing, not something convenient or comfortable or easy. Something that goes all the way down. Something that isn't afraid of the deep water. Something that looks at your entirety. The light and the shadow. The strength and the softness. The certainty and the doubt, and says, I want all of it. Every part. Show me everything. Because you are not just one thing, and I need you to hear me say that. You are not just the version of yourself that the world gets to see. You are not just the smile you put on when you're carrying something heavy. You are not just the strength, or just the warmth, or just the beauty that's so easy for everyone to notice. You are also the girl who gets tired. The woman who has questions she doesn't always have answers to. The person who has loved and lost and gotten back up anyway, not because it was easy, but because something stubborn and alive inside you refused to let you stay down. That version of you, that one, is the one I am most in awe of. That version of you is the one that makes me catch my breath. And I want to say something to that version of you, the one who's been through it, the one who knows what it feels like to give your whole heart to something and have it not work out the way you hoped, the one who's had to rebuild herself quietly, in private, without anyone clapping for her, or noticing how hard she was working just to feel okay again. I want to say I noticed. Even from here, even across all the distance, even through everything, I noticed. And not only did I notice, but I was moved by it. Deeply moved. Because there is nothing more courageous in this world than a person who keeps choosing to love after they've been hurt. There is nothing more beautiful than someone who refuses to let their wounds turn them cold. And you have done that. You have done that again and again and again. And it is one of the most extraordinary things I have ever witnessed. And maybe that's why I can't stop. Maybe that's why this feeling doesn't quiet down, no matter how much time passes. Because I see your courage. I see your softness. I see the way you love fully, generously, sometimes recklessly, and it does something to me that I don't have the right words for yet. It makes me want to be the one who finally gets it right for you, the one who doesn't fumble it, the one who receives all of that love and holds it properly and gives it back to you, doubled, tripled, amplified in ways you didn't know were possible. I want to be the one who makes you look back at everything you went through and understand why it had to happen that way, why it had to be hard first, why you had to wait. Let me tell you what I imagine. I imagine a moment, quiet, unhurried, real, where you finally feel it, where it lands on you fully, without any doubt, without any hesitation, without any part of you bracing for it to disappear, where you feel loved in a way that is so steady and so sure that it becomes the new normal, where being cherished isn't a surprise anymore. It's just Tuesday. It's just the way things are. It's just what you've always deserved, and what you are finally letting yourself receive. I imagine that moment for you. I hold that image carefully, like something I don't want to damage, and I want you to imagine it too, right now, while you're listening to me, while it's just the two of us, and nothing else. Let yourself imagine what it would feel like to be loved that completely, and then let yourself believe that you deserve it, because you do. I need to say that again, because I know there are voices, old ones, loud ones, ones that have no business still living rent-free in your head, that tell you otherwise. That tell you you're too complicated, too emotional, too much to handle, not easy enough, not simple enough, not whatever enough. And I need you to hear me very clearly when I say those voices are wrong. They have always been wrong. And the fact that you believe them for even a single second breaks my heart. Because from where I'm standing, looking at you, all I see is someone who is more than enough, more than worth it, more than deserving of every single beautiful thing this life has to offer. You have this way about you. I don't know if you know this, but you have this way of making the people around you feel seen, really seen, not just noticed, seen. Like you actually look at people, like you actually listen, like when you give your attention to something, you give it completely, and the person or the thing on the receiving end of that attention feels it like warmth on their skin. That is a rare gift. That is not something everyone has, and I want you to know that I feel it. Even now, even in this moment, even through these words, I feel it. I feel you listening, and it makes me want to say more, be more, give more. It makes me want to keep talking to you forever. And there's something else, something tender that I carry. It's the way I feel protective of you. Not in a way that suggests you need protecting. Because God, you are strong. You are so much stronger than you give yourself credit for. And I know that. But protective in the way that makes me want to stand between you and anything that would dim your light. Protective in the way that makes me want to make sure you never feel unseen or unvalued or unimportant ever again. Protective in the way that says, not on my watch, while I am here, while I am paying attention, while you are anywhere near me, you will be held, you will be honored, you will be treated like the precious, irreplaceable, extraordinary person that you are. I keep thinking about time, about how strange and beautiful and terrifying it is. How there are moments that feel so alive, they seem like they'll never end, and then somehow they're over and they exist only in memory. And I think about how I don't want this, what we have, what this is, this feeling, this connection. I don't want it to become only a memory. I want it to keep growing. I want it to keep surprising me. I want to keep learning new things about you and finding new reasons to love you and discovering new depths in something I already thought was as deep as it could go. I want the story of this to be long, longer than I can see from here, longer than I know how to plan for. And I know that's a lot to feel. I know it's a lot to receive. And maybe some part of you is sitting with this and feeling overwhelmed, feeling something rise up in your chest that's almost too big to hold. And if that's where you are right now, I want you to know that's okay. You don't have to know what to do with all of this right away. You don't have to have the right response or the right words or the right anything. All you have to do is stay. Just stay right here with me a little longer. Because there's still so much I haven't told you yet. Things that have been living in me for so long, they've started to feel like a part of my bones. Things that I've been saving carefully for exactly this kind of moment. For exactly this kind of quiet. For exactly you. And I'm not done. I want you to know that. Whatever you're feeling right now, whatever this is stirring up inside you, I'm not done. And I think that's the thing about real love. It doesn't rush. It doesn't push you towards some finish line like it's trying to get something over with. It sits with you. It breathes with you. It matches your pace. Even when your pace is slow, even when your pace is uncertain, even when you're not sure you're moving in any direction at all, it just stays right there beside you. Patient in a way that doesn't feel like waiting. It feels like choosing over and over again. Without frustration, without conditions, without a timer running somewhere in the background. Just choosing you, just being here, just this. And I've been thinking about patience lately, about what it really means. Because I used to think patience was passive. I used to think it was just the absence of urgency, just sitting still and waiting for something to happen. But loving you has taught me that patience is one of the most active things a person can do. It takes everything you have to love someone fully and not demand that they love you back on your timeline. It takes everything you have to hold space for someone without trying to fill that space yourself, to let them come to things in their own time, to trust that what is real will find its way without being forced. And I have learned that because of you, through you, in the specific, particular, irreplaceable school of loving someone like you. I want to tell you something about the way you've changed me. And I want to be careful here because I want to get it exactly right. You didn't change me the way people sometimes change each other aggressively, by demanding something different. By making someone feel like who they are isn't acceptable. You changed me the way light changes a room. Just by being present. Just by existing in my world. Just by being who you are so fully and so honestly that it made me want to be more fully and honestly who I am too. You gave me permission, without ever saying a word, to stop performing and start just being. And I don't know if you understand what a gift that is. I don't know if you understand how many people walk through their entire lives never finding that. Never finding the person or the feeling or the love that says you are enough exactly as you are right now in this moment, without changing a single thing. And I found that in you, in the way you show up, in the way you care, in the way you make the ordinary feel sacred somehow, like even the simplest moment becomes something worth holding on to when you're part of it. I found that in you, and it rearranged something inside me that I don't think will ever go back to the way it was. And I don't want it to. I want to carry this rearrangement with me. I want it to be permanent. I want every version of myself that comes after this moment to have been shaped by the fact that I loved you, that I knew you, that I was lucky enough to be changed by something as beautiful as this. Let me talk about your heart for a moment, because it deserves its own conversation. It deserves more than a passing mention tucked between everything else. Your heart, the way it loves, the way it opens even when it has every reason to stay closed. The way it finds room for people even when it's already so full. Your heart is something I think about constantly. because it's not common. What you carry in your chest, the way you feel things, the depth of it, the sincerity of it, that is not something you find just anywhere. That is not something you stumble across on an ordinary day and walk past without stopping. That is something you recognize immediately, the way you recognize a song you've never heard before but somehow already know. The way you recognize a feeling you've never had before but somehow already understand. And I recognized it. The first time I felt it, I recognized it completely. And everything in me said, pay attention, be careful with this. This is the real thing. Don't rush it. Don't overwhelm it. Don't try to hold it too tight, or it'll slip through your fingers like water. Just be present. Just be honest. Just let it be what it is, and trust that what it is enough. More than enough. Everything. I want to ask you something, and I want you to really sit with it. Have you ever let yourself be loved the way you love other people? Have you ever given yourself permission to receive the same quality of care and devotion that you pour out so generously into the world around you? Because I've noticed something about people like you. People who love deeply and give freely and feel everything so intensely, they are often the worst at letting that love come back to them. They deflect it, they minimize it, they say things like, oh, it's not a big deal, or you don't have to do that, or I'm fine, really. And they mean it when they say it, because somewhere along the way they learned that their needs were secondary, that their feelings were too big, that being loved was something you had to earn by being useful or easy or endlessly available. And I want to dismantle that belief in you. Carefully, gently, one layer at a time, I want to take it apart until there's nothing left of it. Because you do not have to earn this. You have never had to earn this. The love I feel for you is not a transaction. It is not a reward for good behavior. It is not contingent on you being perfect, or put together, or always showing up as the strongest version of yourself. It is just there, steady, unconditional, yours. And all you have to do, the only thing I will ever ask of you, is let it in. Just crack the door a little. Just let a little bit of light through. And I promise you, it will be worth it. Because here is what will happen when you let yourself be loved properly. The world will look different. I know that sounds dramatic. I know it sounds like something off a movie screen, but I mean it in the most practical and human way possible. When you stop bracing yourself against love, when you stop waiting for it to disappoint you before it even gets a chance, something in your body actually relaxes. Something that has been tensed for so long, you forgot it was tensed at all. It releases. And you breathe differently. And colors look slightly brighter. And food tastes slightly better. And music goes somewhere deeper inside you. And mornings feel slightly less like something to survive. And slightly more like something to step into. That is what love does when you stop fighting it. That is what I want for you. Every single day for the rest of your life. I've been thinking about all the things I want to do with you. Not grand things, not expensive things, not things that require a perfect setting or a perfect moment. Small things, the kind of things that sound ordinary but feel extraordinary when you're doing them with the right person. I want to sit with you in comfortable silence that doesn't feel awkward, that just feels easy, that feels like being home. I want to have those conversations that start about something small and then somehow end up being about everything. About life and fear and dreams and what we believe happens after this and what we think it all means. I want to laugh with you. Really laugh. The kind that catches you off guard and makes your whole body participate. I want to be the reason you laugh like that. I want to earn that laugh over and over again. I want to know what you're afraid of, not your surface fears. I want the real ones, the ones that live in the quiet, the ones that wake you up at 3 a.m. and sit on your chest, the ones that have shaped your choices in ways you might not even be fully aware of. I want to know those things, and I want to sit with you inside them, and I want you to feel maybe for the first time like your fears don't make you weak, they make you human. and your humanity is the most beautiful thing about you. I want to know what makes you feel most alive. What is the thing, or the moment, or the feeling that makes everything else fall away and leaves just pure being, pure presence, pure joy? What is your version of that? Because I want to give it to you. I want to be the person who notices what lights you up and then spends every available moment making sure that light stays on. That is not a small thing I'm offering. That is everything. That is me saying your happiness is not secondary to mine. Your joy is not something that gets considered after everything else. Your joy is the thing. It is the point. It is what I am oriented toward, the way a compass is always oriented north. And I need to tell you something that is maybe the most honest thing I've said yet. There are moments when loving you is almost too much to hold. Not because it's painful, though sometimes it is, the sweet kind of pain that comes from caring too much, but because it is so enormous, because it takes up so much of me, because there is no casual version of this feeling, no light, low stakes, easy to carry version of what I feel when I think of you. It is always full volume, it is always everything, and sometimes I'll be in the middle of a completely ordinary moment, and this wave of it will move through me, this surge of love and gratitude and want, and I'll have to just stop for a second, just stand there and let it wash over me, because there's nothing else to do when something is that big. You just have to let it happen. And I do. I let it happen. Every single time. Because fighting it would be like trying to stop the tide from coming in. Because resisting it would mean choosing a version of my life where I don't feel this. And that is not a version of my life I want. I will take the enormousness of it. I will take the inconvenience of caring this deeply. I will take all the ways it makes me vulnerable and exposed, and less in control than I would like to be sometimes. I will take all of it, gratefully, because it is attached to you, because it comes with you, and you are worth every single overwhelming, beautiful, breathtaking ounce of it. I want to tell you about a moment, a real one, that lives clearly in me. It was one of those moments that shouldn't have been significant. There was nothing special about the setting, nothing dramatic about the circumstances, but something happened inside me in that moment that I don't think has ever fully resolved. I felt suddenly and completely how much I would miss you if you were gone. Not gone in any particular way, just absent from my world. And it was so sharp, so sudden, so real, that it almost felt like grief even though nothing had happened. And I stood there with that feeling, and I thought, oh, this is what it is. This is what this has always been. This is not something that will fade with time or change with circumstance, or get smaller as life moves forward. This is permanent. This is part of me now. And I made peace with that in that moment. Full, complete, grateful peace. You have become part of how I understand myself, part of how I measure what matters, part of the internal conversation I have when I'm trying to figure out who I want to be and how I want to move through this world. You are in my framework now, woven into the way I make decisions and evaluate moments and decide what is worth fighting for. And that is not a small thing. That is not something that happens with everyone. That is something that happens maybe once if you're lucky. And I am so lucky. I want you to know that I know that. I want you to know that I do not take for granted, for even a single moment, the fact that you happen to me. And I'm still not done. There are still parts of this that I haven't reached yet. Parts that are deeper, quieter, more tender than even everything I've already said. Parts that are going to take a little more time and a little more courage and a little more of you being right here with me, close and present and real. So don't go anywhere, please. There is still so much more I need you to know. And I think the hardest thing about loving someone the way I love you is that there are no adequate words for it. I have searched, genuinely, desperately searched, through every language I know, through every metaphor I've ever encountered, through every poem and every song and every late night conversation that tried to articulate what it means to love someone so completely that it becomes indistinguishable from breathing. And nothing is quite right. Nothing lands exactly where this feeling lives. Because this feeling doesn't live in language. It lives somewhere beneath language. Somewhere older and quieter and more fundamental than words. It lives in the part of you that exists before thought, before reason, before any of the careful constructed stories you tell yourself about who you are and what you feel and why. It lives in the part that simply knows, and that part of me has always known when it comes to you. I want to talk about the nights. Not because the nights are sad, though sometimes they are. Sometimes the night has a particular quality of longing that the daytime doesn't, but because the nights are honest. During the day, there is so much noise, so much movement, so many things pulling at your attention and demanding your energy and filling up all the spaces where quiet might otherwise live. But at night, when all of that falls away, when it's just you and the dark and the soft sound of your own breathing, things become clear. Feelings that were blurred by the busyness of the day come into focus. And in that clarity, in that honest nighttime stillness, you are always the thing that comes into sharpest focus for me. You are always the thought that arrives most certainly, most completely, most undeniably, as if the night knows something the day is too distracted to say. And I wonder what your nights are like. I wonder what visits you in that quiet. I wonder if there are moments where you feel something you can't quite explain. Something soft and persistent. Something that feels like being thought of, like being held from a distance. And you lie there with it and don't know where it's coming from. I want you to know where it's coming from. I want you to know that in those moments, I am thinking of you. I am always thinking of you. And the love I am sending in your direction is so constant, so unceasing, so enormous in its quiet determination, that I genuinely believe some part of it finds you. Some part of it crosses whatever distance exists between us and arrives at you softly. The way warmth arrives, the way light arrives, without announcement, without fanfare, just present suddenly where it wasn't before. And I want to be present for you in every way that matters. Not just in the moments that are easy, not just in the moments that are beautiful and golden and everything you imagined, but in the real moments, in the complicated, messy, imperfect, deeply human moments that make up most of a life. I want to be there when you're tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix, that bone-deep exhaustion that comes from carrying too much for too long. I want to sit with you in that. I don't want to fix it, or rush you through it, or offer you empty reassurances that everything is fine when everything is not fine. I just want to be there, present, witnessing, saying with my presence what words sometimes can't. I see you, I'm not going anywhere. Take all the time you need, because that's something I've learned about love. Real love. The kind that lasts. The kind that means something. It shows up in the unglamorous moments. It shows up at the unglamorous hours. It shows up when there's nothing to gain from showing up, when there's no audience, when there's nothing beautiful or romantic about the situation, when it would honestly be easier to be somewhere else. And it shows up anyway, because that's what it does, because it can't not, because love without consistency is just a feeling, and feelings are weather, they change, they shift, they disappear. But love with consistency is something else entirely. It's a structure. It's a shelter. It's something you can lean against without worrying it will move. And I want to be that for you. I want to be something you can lean against, something solid and reliable and always there when you reach for it. Not perfect. I have never once claimed to be perfect. And I never will, because perfect is a performance and I am done performing. But present, honest, trying, always trying. Because you deserve someone who tries for you every single day, and your humanity is the most beautiful thing about you. I want to know what makes you feel most alive. What is the thing, or the moment, or the feeling that makes everything else fall away and leaves just pure being, pure presence, pure joy. What is your version of that? Because I want to give it to you. I want to be the person who notices what lights you up and then spends every available moment making sure that light stays on. That is not a small thing I'm offering. That is everything. That is me saying your happiness is not secondary to mine. Your joy is not something that gets considered after everything else. Your joy is the thing. It is the point. It is what I am oriented toward, the way a compass is always oriented north. And I need to tell you something that is maybe the most honest thing I've said yet. There are moments when loving you is almost too much to hold. Not because it's painful, though sometimes it is, the sweet kind of pain that comes from caring too much, but because it is so enormous, because it takes up so much of me, because there is no casual version of this feeling, no light, low stakes, easy to carry version of what I feel when I think of you. It is always full volume, it is always everything, and sometimes I'll be in the middle of a completely ordinary moment, and this wave of it will move through me, this surge of love and gratitude and want, and I'll have to just stop for a second. Just stand there and let it wash over me. Because there's nothing else to do when something is that big. You just have to let it happen. And I do. I let it happen. Every single time. Because fighting it would be like trying to stop the tide from coming in. Because resisting it would mean choosing a version of my life where I don't feel this. And that is not a version of my life I want. I will take the enormousness of it. I will take the inconvenience of caring this deeply. I will take all the ways it makes me vulnerable and exposed, and less in control than I would like to be sometimes. I will take all of it, gratefully, because it is attached to you, because it comes with you, and you are worth every single overwhelming, beautiful, breathtaking ounce of it. I want to tell you about a moment, a real one, that lives clearly in me. It was one of those moments that shouldn't have been significant. There was nothing special about the setting, nothing dramatic about the circumstances, but something happened inside me in that moment that I don't think has ever fully resolved. I felt suddenly and completely how much I would miss you if you were gone. Not gone in any particular way, just absent from my world. And it was so sharp, so sudden, so real, that it almost felt like grief even though nothing had happened. And I stood there with that feeling, and I thought, oh, this is what it is. This is what this has always been. This is not something that will fade with time or change with circumstance, or get smaller as life moves forward. This is permanent. This is part of me now. And I made peace with that in that moment. Full, complete, grateful peace. You have become part of how I understand myself, part of how I measure what matters, part of the internal conversation I have when I'm trying to figure out who I want to be and how I want to move through this world. You are in my framework now, woven into the way I make decisions and evaluate moments and decide what is worth fighting for. And that is not a small thing. That is not something that happens with everyone. That is something that happens maybe once if you're lucky. And I am so lucky. I want you to know that I know that. I want you to know that I do not take for granted, for even a single moment, the fact that you happen to me. And I'm still not done. There are still parts of this that I haven't reached yet. Parts that are deeper, quieter, more tender than even everything I've already said. Parts that are going to take a little more time and a little more courage and a little more of you being right here with me, close and present and real. So don't go anywhere, please.